here's something I discovered. Experience is knowledge you get just after you needed it. So here's the lessons I've got. First of all, it's a hard problem. The second one, accessibility is part of the user's experience. Find users and observe and listen to them. Third, it's easier if accessibility problems are identified and solved or avoided earlier. I think blind people are expert at this. I've heard more than once that career choices are made on the basis of what routes will be accessible and what routes will not be accessible. So avoiding problems is an adaptation. You're quite right, Sean. It's also a measure of the failure of the system. But sometimes you want to be a miserable failure. Sometimes you want to be a happy failure rather than a miserable. Well, I'm flubbing here. I'll stop. And the final one is, even if outcomes can be predicted, early change is hard. And I'm thinking particularly of contemporary events, the COVID pandemic and climate change. All manner of things were easily predicted, but a combination of what one might call social, economic, and all other forces made it not so easy for people to come together or be independent and do the right thing. Any further lessons people would like to add or think would be useful?
I like how you mentioned early twice, because yeah, accessibility needs to be built in from the design phase as early as possible, for it to not be an afterthought.
How can we teach that to people?
Yes.
How can we teach people that it's cheaper if you do it earlier? I don't know.
User experience. It needs to become personal. They have to see people's stories and understand how this problem is human, that accessibility and disability rights are human rights. Nobody deserves to be left behind, and everybody should be able to share an experience. At the community college, we have to remind people we don't teach professions and careers. We give people experiences. And so if a deaf student can't hear a language and speak a language, it doesn't mean you can deny them the ability to learn how to read and write that language. So there's some things you have to skip. A blind student isn't going to be able to draw in a class, but you can't tell them they can't experience welding, or medical professions where they say, they can't become a nurse. Well, yes, they can. There's never a can't. There's always just a how.
That sounds very good.